do I have? I'm waiting. I'm eating the seuda by two different places. I'm not eating in my house. So is that a chana to carry after the first seuda to carry stuff I'm going to use for the second seuda? I can't do that.
Sure. It's sure.
What does that mean? What does that mean? To take home your agada would be a chana?
Could be, but that's an eight. So you just look at it during the day a little bit, then you're fine. You kittle.
No, thank you, but I'm talking. Well, I have to think. Maybe I have two kittles. I should have. I'm talking about the Cairo or Becha.
Right. So the Cairo, it's a problem because that's very nicker. You're doing it for the next night. The Becher, you have an eight. So use it.
Fine. If I can't, I can't.
The Becher, you use it.
You use it when I come. Drink some water when I come home.
Or the next day you use it.
What
if you're doing it because you don't want to leave it there?
Why can't he use the?
So if you don't want to leave it there, then that because you're afraid it's going to get stolen, then there's what to be making. But that's not the case.
Zevi, don't steal the ka'ara, Zevi, please.
You steal the Afikoman, not the ka'ara.
I'm going by him the second seuda, so I can't even use that.
Oh, why can't he use the car to store the matzahs?
You could do that. You could come up with an excuse and do something with the ka'ara. You could do it.
Is it not?
Why can't you kids play hide and seek? Play hide and seek.
Rabbi, I never pictured you for one of these big silver ka'ara things like the Rebbe's have, you know?
Rabbi, your grandkids pick it up from your other kids after davening.
Naftali, your Wi-Fi is as broken as your voice.
I'll switch Wi-Fi. Okay.
How's mine?
Yours, meanwhile, is good.
852. Let's go.
Oh, let's go. Page 52. Page. Okay, we're on the bottom. Yeah. Page. What do you mean? We're on the bottom of Kuf Yutes Amud Aleph, right?
Yeah.
Kanan Hassam.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we were learning about just at the end of the Gemara yesterday, right? That that the Yidden took all the money out of Mitzrayim, etc., etc. So my son told me today that his Rebbe asked him, how come if we take matza out of Mitzrayim and the Yidden were leaving with all sorts of gold from Mitzrayim, how come we don't have gold in our pockets by the seuda, right? So that was maybe that should be a new minhag that we should start. That you walk around the seuda with gold in your pocket. Okay, yeah, fine. It's not awesome, yeah. Malkam shanagu lichval, yichval, lifshait yifshait. So wherever is the minhag.
Where are you starting from?
Kuf Yutes Amud Aleph on the bottom line.
Oh, okay,
right. So there's when it says here Malkam. Yeah, so Tanano, so Malkam Shanagu Lichval, Yichval, Lifshait, Yifshait. If there are those places that had a minhag to say every pasuk from Hallel twice. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, I think the island would say Baruch Hashem, that's not the minhag nowadays. I imagine saying the whole Hallel twice. Right? Meaning just like the same way we do at the end of Hallel, we repeat each pasuk. So there are some places that had a minhag that they repeat the entire Hallel pasuk by each pasuk twice. Lifshait, to do it straight without doubling the pesukim like our minhag is yivshait. Levarach achar of yivarach, and there's some places that have a minhag to make a bracha afterwards. Hakol k'minhag hamadina, everything's like the minhag hamadina, right? But to make the bracha before, right? To make the bracha before that, that's a big issue. Making the bracha before is a big issue depending on when you're making the Hallel, when you're not. Biyechidus, really, it's not so simple that you can make bracha on Hallel when you daven biyechidus, the first bracha. Right? Okay, but that's a whole sugi. But then, so that's the minhag.
But this doesn't mention anything about the first bracha.
Right, doesn't mention anything about the first bracha. Right, it's only talking about the last bracha.
What's a kol minhag Medina?
What?
A kol minhag Medina. What does it mean?
Whatever the minhag is of that country that you're in, that's what you do. Whether they double the Hallel, they don't double the Hallel. Whether they
where do they double, where do they not double? When did they?
I don't know. It's totally in the. I never heard of anybody ever having that minhag to double the Hallel.
That means David and Shul
And then daven at the seder? Isn't that?
What?
Wouldn't that be
No,
double
no,
hell?
no, no. Well, this is any
Isn't there
time
some
you
people
say
that say it in
Hallel.
shul?
Yes, that's not nothing to do with this.
No, this is just repeating the pesukim twice.
This is any time you say Hallel, you say the pesukim twice. That's all. Every time. Samar Abaya, right? Right? I jumped the gun. Mitzvah levarich, but before Hallel, that's already a mitzvah. All mitzvahs you make a bracha on them before they start, meaning before you do the mitzvah. So we're saying there is no minhag about making the bracha before Hallel. However, half Hallel, this is talking about whole Hallel. Half Hallel, like Rosh Chodesh, that's already a minhag whether you should make a bracha on it at all, right? Because this that we say it is only it's a minhag to say Hallel on Rosh Chodesh. So some say that you don't Sfardim don't make a bracha, right? Rosh Chodesh, the Sfardim make a bracha. I think a lot of Sfardim don't make a bracha on Hallel on Rosh Chodesh. We're not going in Yom Ha'atzmaut. Don't anybody get any ideas, right? But it's not so pashut, and to make a bracha b'yichidos, like we said, it's not pashut either. Fine. My mashud high over lashon daktumiyu. So this is a Gemara that we have many places in Shas. How do you know that the lashon of over lasiyason, right, which is a very interesting choice of words? Over usually means past when you do it, right? If you translate over lasiyason, that sounds like you should be doing it after you do it. But no, over lasiyason means before, right? My mashud high over lashon daktumiyu. Right, so Achimatz ran away through the kikar, through the fields, right? And he passed the kushi. That's the literal, that's what you would think is the taich, right? But what it means, right? So it means he went in front of him. He passed him, but he was in front of him. So that's what vayavar means. That it's like saying you pass somebody on the highway, so now he's in front of him. That's so past means now you're doing it ahead. Abai says from different pasuk who over lifneim, right? That's when Yaakov went in front of everybody else to meet Esau. But so over means first. Right, and the what do you call it? And the king went in front of them. And Hashem was at the head. So you see Vayavar means at the head. Fine. Tanya, Rebbe, Koivu Badvarim, Rebbe did some of the pesukim he doubled. Right? That the Rashbam says he used to do a few pesukim from Baruch Haba and on, that's when he doubled, which is what we don't do exactly like that. We also double, but Rebbe did it from Baruch Haba and on. Rabbi Elazar ben Parta, Maisif Badvarim, he added more pesukim. My Maisif, Amarabai, Maisif Lichol Me'ayt Chalamata, which is our minhag, right? He added on that he doubled from Aytcha and on, right? So what's a pshat he doubled? So the Rashbam says, because we had it yesterday's daf on the bottom of the Amud, that all these pesukim was the back and forth between Yishai, Shmuel, and Dovid. So, right? So therefore, he doubled them as a covet for them. He doubled the pesukim. He wanted to repeat the conversation twice. That's why, and they're covered. Yeah? And then the Rashbam says that there's other reasons, and they're not correct. Yeah? But, but some say that the reason is that if you go through Minhag Meitzar, all the pesukim in Minhag Meitzar are pretty much doubled. Right? There's one pasuk that says something similar to the next pasuk. I don't remember what.
So that's considered double, even if they're not exactly the same.
Right. So therefore, he says once they started with a lot of the like Yimin Hashem Nedar B'Koyach, Yimin Hashem Tiratzayev. That type, right? No, that's sorry, I'm mixing that up. That's an Oziyoshi. Right? How does it go?
Yimin Hashem Osechayil.
Right, very good. Right. Yimin Hashem Osechayil, Yimin Hashem Remeima. And then Piskuli Share Tzedek. Right. So those these there's the not concepts. What's the word we're looking for? The
theme
or whatever. Right, the theme. So Mamelos, they want to just continue that. So that the pesukim that don't have the repeated theme, they repeated. Right, which is the minhag that we have. Fine. Darash Rav Avia, Zimnan Amrle Mishmei the Rab, Zimnan Amrle Mishmei the Rav Ashi. So sometimes he said it b'shem Rab, and sometimes he said it b'shem Rav Ashi. What does it mean? And Yitzchak grew up, and he was vayigomel, and they how do you call it? They weaned him. Yeah, and what do you call it? And Avraham Avinu made a big seuda that day, right? That's what people say is the source for upsharings, right? So also the Kodesh Baruch Hu lasis seuda latzadikim. It's almost a nig in Peretz, not exactly. Right, but also the Kodesh Baruch Hu lasis seuda latzadikim. Hashem is going to make a seuda for the tzadikim. B'yam she'igamel chastoi l'zara shel Yitzchak, on the day that he's gonna put chesed onto the Yitzchak's kids. And then after they can eat and drink, they're going to give a kosher bracha to Avram to make a bracha. Avram said, I'm not right to make the bracha because the Maisa had Yishmael as my kid. Right? So the Yitzchak, he said to Yitzchak, Yitzchak said, I can't lead the benching. Esav came from me. I married sisters when they were alive. The Torah is going to answer that, right? Which is quite an interesting. So why did he do it for? A, B is don't they say that they kept the whole Torah? Okay, so he said he didn't want to bench because he married sisters. Gave it to Moshe. I'm not Zoicha because I wasn't Zoicha to go to Eretz Yisrael, not alive and not dead. So you do see from here that there is an Indian to go to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. So Yeshua take it and bench. I never had a son. Right? Which we had before, why that whole thing happened, but he didn't have a son. I don't know why that's such a what the aver is with that.
No,
right?
Mashal says building in Yerushalayim.
Yeah, that's not that. Yeah, but
He was unfit to say the bracha of B'nai Yerushalayim.
Why? Because he didn't have a son.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well, sure.
I don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeshua ben Nun.
not having a son to build Yerushalayim up.
So what's wrong? What do you do wrong by that?
He didn't do wrong. He couldn't do
So
it.
he can't say Ufanei Yerushalayim.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
because he didn't have a son to build up Yerushalayim.
No, so why couldn't he build Yerushalayim, Dovid?
Who? Dovid?
Yeah.
But that's what happened.
No, the Mashal
Didn't we say Yishmael did teshuva at the end of his life?
Yes, that's a good that's a kasha also. Yes, that's a good kasha. That's a very interesting Gemara over here. It's a very, very difficult to understand it. Right? Tesiv Yeshua ben Nun benoi Yeshua, right? Nun was his son, Yeshua was his son. Right? So therefore, it doesn't continue, right? The Rashbam says that far of Ephraim, at Yeshua, it stops at the lineage stops at Yeshua. Fine. So Amrle Dovid Talu Baruch said to Dovid, take it and bench. Amrle Ani Baruch Velina Baruch, I should bench, and I'm proper for one to bench. Right? Because because we Yerushalayim and the base of Mikdash should build by Shlomo. Right? So Shenemar Kais Yeshua says, so V'Shem Hashem Ekra. He's gonna raise up the Kais and then he's gonna call out in the name of Hashem. Okay, so that's a interesting Gemara. Fine. What do you say?
Have some sons who weren't so ay.
What?
Didn't David and Melch have some sons who weren't so ay?
Yes, and he had a few mice in himself that weren't so ay. Right? I don't know. It seems like it's all totally in. It seems like there's a connection here with having sons, and having sons with the ability, except for Yaakov. Yaakov said marrying sisters, so I don't know how that fits in exactly. Having sons and somehow having sons have the ability to build Yerushalayim, assuming because it's a bnei Yerushalayim in the benching, right? Yeah. Okay, that's a tough. I got to do Gemara.
Maybe it's about somebody had a bris.
What do you mean?
They had a bris. He had a bris. The children, so they could still build Yerushalayim. They could still.
Oh, so maybe I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Ein maftir nach Pesach Afikoman, probably the most famous Mishna.
Is that the shortest Mishnah?
I think in the Mishnah it's not a separate Mishnah. I think so. Right. Right.
Right.
Okay. So let's see. So fine. So my Afikoman. What exactly is Afikoman? Yeah. So Amarav Shala Yakru Mechabura LeChabura. You shouldn't uproot yourself from one chabura to another chabura. Right? Meaning don't take your food and go from one chabura to the next. Yeah. Which, by the way, for those that go away to hotels, could be a particular issue. You know, like at the end of the meal, you get up from the table, go schmooze with somebody else, right? Those are different chaburas. Or even change your seat. Some of the persons say you should not change your seat when you're in the middle of Afikoman. You start eating in one seat and somebody says, do you mind moving over? Blah, blah, blah. All that thing. Some places can say you should just sit in one spot. Shmuel Amar going Urdliya li and V'guzlaya la'ava, right? They shouldn't, which is these types of desserts, right? Mushrooms and Guzlaya geisel is like birds for Ava, right? So that's meaning for each one of that's what they enjoyed as Gishmak, right? The mushrooms sound like for dessert. I don't know about birds for dessert. So that stuff you shouldn't have.
When Shmuel says la'aba here, does that mean for Rav?
I don't know.
Doesn't it usually mean Rav when Shmuel says Abba?
Yeah, that's a whole diyun, whether when they call and when he doesn't. Right? See, I mean, here it sounds like the Shmuel, it says, I mean, the Rashbam says Rav. Right? So that really answers your question. Right? He says Rav, but I don't know if everybody learns like that. Either way, it means not to have dessert after Reb Chanina Bar Shila, Reb Yochanan Amar, Kigoyin Tamarim Kloyas Ve'Goizin, to have dates and toasted grain, and how you call it, wheat, and egoizim and nuts, right? But it's interesting because there's no machlokes with that, correct? Each one is just talking about the type of desserts that they like. Fine. Tanikav said, Reb Yochanan Emeftir Nachapesach going Tamarim Kloyas Ve'Goizin. Fine. So it's a brisa like that. I'm going to read the Shmuel Emeftir Nachar Matza Afikoman. Oh, so now this is see the Mishna says Ein Maftir Nachar Pesach Afikoman. And now Yehuda Shmuel is saying, and obviously we paskin like this, is that even after eating the matzah, you're not allowed to eat, right? Because the Afikoman represents the Korban Pesach, right? So the question is how you understand this with the, because the whole machlokes b'shainim of which matzahs are the ikar mitzvah matzah. If you go with the Rishonim that hold that the first matzahs is the ikar mitzvah, then what's with the seuda afterwards? Right? Okay, but whatever, that's a whole tumah. So Tanan ein maftirin achar pesach afikoman achar pesach hu deloi aval achar matzah maftirin. But the Maisa from our Mishnah says he only can't eat after the Pesach afikoman. It's mashma after matzah you could. So Gemara says let me buy Amar. Right? Let me buy achar matzah deloi nafesh tamayu aval achar pesach the nafesh tamei deloi matzi ivurei leslan ba. So I don't need to tell you matzah that doesn't really have much taste, right? But after a Pesach that has a lot of taste, and the taste is not gonna. If you're gonna eat food afterwards, you're still gonna be tasting the meat. Less lanba, so you think that there's no problem, kamash malan, that no, you can't have any food, not after matzah, not after the Korban Pesach. right? Nameless ayele. Let's say we have a proof. Hasuvgonin, which clearly does not mean what it means nowadays. At least I hope not, right? Donuts, right? Unless it means like
Sponge cake.
Yeah, like So sufgana means, but sponge. It's got to be like a matza.
Sponge matza, he calls it.
Sponge matza, or I guess it would be like the cakes that they make out. What do they make it out of? Corn flour. What is not corn flour? I mean potato.
Potato starch.
Potato starch, right? So sufganin v'adufshanin, that's honey matza. Paskritin, right? That's some sort of very, very thin matzah. Adam mamalik kresim, a person can fill up his stomach with as long as you eat a kazayas of legit matzah at the end. So it's mashme bachroina in, right? If he eats it at the end, good. But he's shine alive. But at the beginning, right? He shouldn't eat it at the beginning because then what's going to happen afterwards? So then the Gemara says, no, what it means, it's meaning, so that's a raya that you're not allowed to eat even after matzah. So you say, no, that's loimi ba'ikamer, I don't need to tell you in the beginning when you're eating it for the tei oven, right? But at the end, maybe you're going to end up eating achila gasa if you end up eating all these fancy matzahs, like the chocolate covered matzah. I guess that would be a mushal for that, right? So maybe you're going to end up eating achila gasa, emaloi. So you would say that you're not allowed to eat those types of foods, even if you're going to finish up with the regular matzah, because maybe that regular matzah is going to be achila gasa, kamash malon, that you are allowed to eat the matzah that's puzzle first, and then you could eat the regular matzah. Right? So by the way, it's yeah.
What did he wash on, this guy? He's having a seuda. He washed.
Yeah, he had regular matzah. Now for dessert, he wants to have a chocolate-covered matzah or whatever it is, right? So we're saying that's fine. Just at the end, you got to make sure you finish up with regular matzah.
So what's the bachrayna and Rishayna loy? Well, we know Barishayna he already had.
No, but Rishayna, no, you shouldn't do this, but Rishayna. Right?
Shouldn't do what?
Eat food. Eat
Outside, he washed. He had the second kais, he washed.
Correct.
He had matzah, he had mutter, and then what? He can't have these matzahs then after the first one?
Well, that's all totally in the whole machlokes rishonim. That's the Rashi, the Rashbam with Taisis, right? That
he has a seuda.
Which matzahs are the ikar ones? Here, the way Rashi is explaining it, and the Rashbam, right? You can't eat anything after the matzah of chayva. So since that you're holding it to eat it at the end of the meal, they're holding it at the end of the meal. So that's no problem. Right? You start with regular matzah, you eat these fancy matzahs, then you finish off with the regular matzah again.
Fine. I don't understand what the Gemara's kasha is, but that means that according to the ones who hold, which I think most of us do halach l'maisa, that the first matzah is matzah's chayva, this Gemara is saying that I can't have the seuda?
That's what it sounds. That's what you would think. Yes.
That can't be. Even what's that? I mean, what's the maskana? Maskana is barashayna and bachrayna. The only reason it's saying bachrayna is because it's a bigger chiddush. Because
right.
That means if matzah's chayva is matzah rishayna, I'm done. I can't have the seuda. How do you have shulchan aruch?
Correct. That's what we just said. It's going to be a big kasha according to the shittas. Right? Yeah, that's the problem. You got to see that it's the whole Tosfos here. Peter Shlomo like you're going to Leslie Elakazayis Matzah, the Suloi, the Tov Loichel Elasayva. Okay, whatever. It's a ganze sugya. It's a ganze sugya with how the Rishonim learned this whole thing. But whatever it is, the main point that we could take out halacha l'maisa from this Gemara is that if you eat too much by Shulchan Aruch and dessert by Pesach by night, then it could be that your matzah that you're eating for Afikoman is an achila gasa. Achila gasa means you're really stuffed. Then your achila is not an achila. You're not going to be yotze the mitzvah Afikoman. Right? So we got to be careful. It's not always so simple to make sure that you're not totally stuffed. There's a lot of wine, there's a lot of matza, there's a lot of food. So it's a problem. Yeah. Okay, weiter. Marzutra masni hachi. Marzutra said something else. You could eat matza. You could eat after the Afikoman. Yeah, I mean you could have a dessert. Now the Gemara is going to say all the opposite rayas. So let's say our Mishna is a proof. It says you don't eat after Pesach Afikoman. Achar Pesach delay awal achar matza maftir. That's our Mishna sounds like it's a proof to his shita. Because the Mishnah only says that it's a problem after eating Pesach, not after matzah. When it says let me buy achar matzah delay nafish tame, I don't need to tell you that after matzah that it doesn't have a good tam. I don't need to tell you that. Of course, you're allowed to have food afterwards. Avalachar Pesach emaloi, but after the Pesach, maybe we would have no problem. Kamash malon, right? So therefore, teaching us no that you're not allowed to eat it. So it's not a proof to him. Meisvei hasavkonav avdushonav askaritin adam amalek man. All these things you can fill up. Avacha yochel kazayis mata bachroina. So it's mash bachroina in perishoina loy. Yeah, so that's a kasha to him. So he says, no, let me buy perishoina the kachal te'over. I don't need to tell to you about perishoina that you're eating the te'over. Am bachroina the asi lemichla achila gasa, where you're going to come eat an achila gasa emaloi. So I'd say not kamash malon, right? That you could eat the posel matzah first, and then you could eat the regular matzah. Fine. Okay, so Zog the Gemara. Amar Rabba. Matzah bezman hazeh deraisa, umara derabanan. Matzah bezman hazeh is a deraisa, and maror is a derabanan. Umayshna maror dichsiv al matzah merarim, right? Like we had a few days ago. Maror, it says matzah merarim. Al matzah merarim. Bezman de ika pesach yesh maror. Bezman de leka pesach leka maror. Right? When there's a korban pesach, you have to eat maror from the Torah. When there's no korban pesach, you don't eat maror. Matzah nami hoksiv al matzah. So matzah too says matzah semarorim yochlu, meaning you eat the pasuk says you eat the korban pesach with matzah and maror. So we darshan out that if there's no korban pesach, maror is not minat Torah, it's midrabanan. So matzah also should be midrabanan. Right? So the Gemara answers matzah mehada hada bekra. No, but matzah has another pasuk because it says be'erev taichlu matzahs. There's an additional pasuk. Now the pasuk says in the evening you should eat matzahs. It doesn't say be'erev taichlu matzahs and maror. It leaves out maror. So you see from there that maror does not get eaten minat Torah when there's no korban pesach, but matzah does. Yeah, which gets into the whole thing with eating the sandwich with Hillel. That's why even Hillel holds that nowadays you can't eat it with the matzah and the maror together because one's a derabbanan, one's a deraisa. Rabbacha Taka says they're both derabbanan. So okay, what's he going to do with the pasuk be'erev taichlu matzahs? Ela aksiv be'erev taichlu matzahs. So no, he needs it for somebody who's tamei and derech rechaika, that he still has to eat matzah. The sagadai, I mean, I would think, given the pesach loyachli, since somebody's tamei, he's not eating the korban pesach, or since somebody's far away from Yerushalayim, so he's not eating the korban pesach, so maybe he shouldn't eat matzah and maror. So matzah maror nami loy neichel, right? Meaning it goes along with the korban pesach. Kamash malon. No, if you were around during the Zman HaMikdash, even if you were not bringing the korban pesach, you still have to eat matzah and maror. Right? But in the Zman Hazeh, it's the Rabbanon for both of them. For Rava Amarlach, so what's Rava going to say? How does Rava, who says that matzah Bizman Hazeh is the rice? By the way,
this last drush is also mashma that at least Bizman Abayis, if I wasn't having a korban pesach, the maror then was a deraisa.
Yes. Yeah.
Even without the korban pesach.
But it sounds like
they're arguing on al matzah semarorim yechlu whether maror is bedafka on the korban pesach or not.
But as long as
the Gemara earlier,
this man, it means clearly. I think he's learning that it means in this man that they had a korban pesach, then matzah and maror is the rice.
That's like we had before with the arul. We had the drush about the arul. The arul's not eating the pesach, but maror he does.
Right. Very good. That's a good sushta. Yeah, very good. Okay, so now Rava, who says matzah is the rice, so what's he going to say? Rava Amarlach. I mean, how's he going to know about Tomei and Shoyi B'derech Chayka? Rava Amarlach. Tomei and Shoyi B'derech Chayka. Loy Tzara. They don't need a pasuk. The Loy Gormi Oral B'neichar. They're not any worse. There you go. Than an oral. And a ben nechor the Tanya kol ara lo yochel boy. Anybody who doesn't have a bris is not allowed to eat it. Boy ain't oichel. Only in the Korban Pesach he doesn't eat it. Aval oichel b'matza, right? But he eats matza umorah. So just like an oral who's around by the Beis Hamikdash didn't eat Korban Pesach, but he ate matza umorah. So too, somebody who's far away or somebody who was tummy also does. Be'idach. What about the other shita? How come he can't learn from that? Ksiv b'hai, ksiv b'hai. It says it by both, and you need them, right? You meaning we need a limud stai for the one for the oral, and we need a pasuk for the derech rechoika and for the somebody who's tummy. Yeah, Tanya Kavasei the Rava Sheishis Yom Toichel Matzos V'Yom Mashiach says Hashem Elokeinu. So 6 days you eat matzahs, and in the 7th day it should be a Yom Tov. Mashvi Rishus Av Sheishis Yom Rishus, just like the 7th day it's a Rishus, meaning there's not no chiv to eat matzah. Right? There's a chiv to make a seuda, but there's no chiv specific to eating matzah. So to the 6 days is also a Rishus. My time.
You have a chiv to have a seuda. How do you have a seuda without matzah?
Right, no, that's true. You're right. You need to have matzah out the seuda, but you don't have to have matzah out the matzah. I know it sounds like an interesting thing, but there's no specific mitzvah to eat matzah. Right? It's only because you have to, like sukkahs, right? So sukkahs, you're not mechuyev to eat in the sukkah. If on the first night you're mechuyev to eat in the sukkah, the rest of the 7 nights, if you want to eat, then you eat in the sukkah, right? Oh, but you have to have a seuda. You have to have a seuda on sukkahs, so you have to eat in the sukkah, right? Obviously, if it's not raining. So it's the same type thing. I mean, there's no chiyuv matzah. You end up eating matzah, but there's no chiyuv specific in matzah. That's only the first night, right? So my time, and what's the reason? Right? So it's something that's in a klal, right? Did you eat matzah? But yotzim in a klal, and then it was excluded from the klal l'lamed. So it's coming to teach us something, right? It's saying that eat matzahs, and then it says, eat matzah 6 days, and the 7th day it's Yom Tov. But lo l'lamed al atzma yotza, it's not coming to teach something about itself. Elo l'lamed al klal kula yotza, it's coming to kick it back on the whole rule, right? So yochol af laila rishon rishus, and then you would think even the first night's rishus, because it's right. We say all 7 days is a rishus. Hamalomer al matzahs u'maraim yechlu. That you eat it on matzah morah. That only tells us that you're supposed to eat matzah morah when there's a Beis Hamikdash. This match ain't Beis Hamikdash kayim minayin. When there's no Beis Hamikdash, how do you know? It's hakasav kavachayva that since it says another pasuk, the be'erev taiklu matzahs, so therefore the pasuk was kaveya as a chayv, right? So therefore, and that's the way we paskin taka that matzah is known as deraisa, morah is a derabbanan. Fine. Okay, let's just do a little more into the next Amud, so then we could finish tomorrow by the sea. Yes, Zok the Mishna. Yoshnu Miktsason. I think this is a very negay lemaisa Mishna, right? You know that long Shulchan Aruch, right? So if some of the people fell asleep, I mean it's not negay because it's talking about the Korban Pesach, but right? Kulon Yoshnu Miktsason Yochlu. If some of them fall asleep, they could eat it. Kulon, if they all fall asleep, lo yochlu, they're not allowed to eat.
That's specifically while eating the Korban Pesach, they fell asleep in the middle of eating it?
Yes. Yeah.
And then they woke up in the 10 minutes later.
Yeah. I don't know if it's 10 minutes. Yeah, well, we're going to see on Amud Beis exactly how deep the sleep is. Right? This also has to do with Shinim Welcome and making of Hamaitzi. Right? If everybody falls asleep, then you might have to make another hamaitzi afterwards. Right? Now in this whole the shaila is pashtus is it's talking about the Korban Pesach. The Rashbam here says that it's also referring to nowadays with Afikoman. Right? But anyway, so Yoshum Miktsason Yochlu Kulan Lo Yochlu. Rabbi Yossi Yomer he says Nisnamnu if they dozed off. Yochlu, they eat it. Near the move, they begin into a deep sleep. Lo yochlu, they don't eat it. A Pesach after Chatzos, right? The Pesach after Chatzos, Metama is the Yadayim. It's Metama the Yadayim. After Chatzos, it makes the hands tummy. A Pigul, Vahanoiser, Metama is the Yadayim. Pigul and Noiser are Metama the Yadayim, are Metama the hands. Right, so we'll see in the Gemara what that's all about. It's fine. So now let's just see the machlokes. Because if they dozed off, they eat it. Near the move, they go into a deep sleep, they don't eat it. How do you describe? What does it mean dozing off? So Ravashi nim veloy nim. Tir veloy tir. He's sleeping, but he's not sleeping. He's up, but he's not really up. You call his name and he answers. Everybody knows exactly when they're doing this, right? Yeah. But he doesn't know.
Like your nap on the couch this afternoon.
Yeah, it's correct. I was going to say in my chair after the seuda or during the seuda, but yeah, something along those lines. Like you could answer, but you have no idea to answer the svara. But then when they remind him, so then they remind him. That's what my kids do to me during the week. If I half fall asleep, they want to use the iPad, so they'll take the iPad and put my fingerprint on it and get it on without me chopping. That's my modern day version of like dozing off that you don't chop what your kids are doing. Right? Fine. Abaya made the Rabbah. Abaya was sitting in front of Rabbah. Chazat the konimning. They saw that he was dozing off. Amrlei meinu kanayim mar. They said mar is sleeping. Amrlei. So he said back to them, Minume kamenamnim. I'm dozing off. It's not. It's not yoichlu near the muloyach. We learned in the Mishna that if you doze off, you eat it. If you go into a deep sleep, so you don't eat it. Okay. Well, I guess we'll stop here, and then tomorrow night, Bez Hashem, before the scene, we'll finish up, and then we'll start Bez Hashem Monday. So we get a day advance because we have 3-day Yom Tov. What are you saying?
What time is shit tomorrow?
By the see him. I don't know. Whatever. 7:30 the CM starts, yeah? I guess we should have Myra first. So
the Myra, yeah.
Yeah, we start with Myra first, and then so figure about it.
Do Myra on Zoom?
You could do Myra on Zoom. Avada. Can't hurt. Can't hurt.
So Yaakov, can we make a request to bring your chametz selling things tomorrow? So we could do
my chametz selling things are always in my pockets these days. Yeah, so can't leave home without it.
2 for 1 we'll get.
I've sold chametz in Costco. I've sold chametz all over.
Are you home? Are you home now?
I am home now. Yes, you could come now if you want. But I've sold it. I've checked the Deacon Claus in Costco too between me and you, but that's a different story. Wow. I can't say that happens so often. But I met a guy who said, "Hey,
but nobody should bring those tomorrow night."
No, don't. At least maybe till after the seuda. Anyways, fine. All right, a good talk.
Parents, we're cooking anything? What are we bringing?
I'm making a brisket.
All right.
I hope my
one brisket.
Oh, he's picky, isn't he?
I need more food than that.
Don't worry, we'll take care of you. Don't worry about it.
You think it's easy keeping this figure?
I don't think you'll figures with a plural.
You won't go hungry, I promise you.
Yeah.
My wife's making dessert, so I know that will be good.
Yeah, Hashem.
It's gonna be. Is there maftir and achara seuda tomorrow?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Fine.
Okay, bye.
Okay, good talk. Bye-bye.